Okay, so here's going to be the final version of our universal syringe filler. Basically, it looks almost like our matrix filler. What we did is made a couple more enhancements to it. We beefed it up a little bit for the car industry, and we added a tilt function on it versus tilting the syringes just for reliability. Basically, what we have here is you can now tilt the syringes forward and backwards. We could have it be straight up and down, or tilt it. What that does is with a tilt, it makes it a little easier to get your needles in there, and you can then fill at a certain angle. There is going to be 2 hinges down here and 2 hinges on this side down there. You can tighten them down with the screw there to set them in place if you'd like. And the other thing we did is beef up the frame completely, because when you do fill carts or any type of product where it needs to be heated, and if it's not hot enough, it is super hard to pump. What it will do now is stall out the little stepper motor up here versus damaging any of the machine. Let me go ahead and demonstrate that now, and then we'll kind of dive in a little bit more. So what I'm going to do is kind of go over to this user interface and hit Purge. And hopefully this will stall this guy out. Nope. So let me go ahead and I'm going to add a little bit more distance on this Purge. I'm going to bottom out these nozzles. Alright, so you just heard the machine kind of grind a little bit. What that did is it completely lost its position. It said, hey, I stalled out. I can't go anymore. Basically, that motor did not have enough power. So we beefed up the machine where the motor would stall out before it really messes up any of the machine. So what you would do now in this case is hit reset and home. And then it's going to basically refine its position and we're ready to go again. So that was kind of the 2 biggest enhancements we made since the last time we made an update. Basically from there, I'm just going to dive in and repeat myself to some of our other videos. So we'll dive in to see how this thing works, how to use it, stuff like that. Basically, it comes with the frame. It'll normally come with a 10-inch screen, keyboard, mouse. I'm going to use the laptop to control everything. And it's going to have this cabinet here. For our normal fillers that are not heated, basically you will not have these temperature controllers here. It will just be solid. These temperature controllers are an option. Normally, if you are heating something, we're going to say use the cart farm syringes. They offer heating controllers, heat tape, syringes, tanks, everything you'd need to be able to fill carting stuff. Any of the microdosing, we usually use DWK, BD, any syringe like that will work. But you will have this cabinet. All the controls are industrial in here. Basically, you have a key switch, light, e-stop, all that good stuff. Let's see. Yeah, so there's basically everything it comes with. These fixtures here, they are custom made for the syringes. So right now, basically, we're filling every other cart. So you would basically fill every other cart in the row, go to the next one, and fill up that row. However, if you did want to fill the cart side by side, we can make a 1-piece fixture and sandwich these guys together for you if you did want something like that. Let's go ahead and see how to program this. So this is universal. It will use different syringes, different heights like that. First thing I'm going to do is get into setting a start location. Probably the hardest part to this thing. Basically, all we're going to do is tell this guy when to start. So first thing I'm going to do is reset and home this machine. Scroll down past these buttons here and you have a feed rate and distance. I have a feed rate of 100, distance of 1. I'm going to go ahead and hit the C- button. And I'm just going to jog down the plunger. And you can, set your distance to like 0.1 or lower and find, get some smaller increments in there. And so I'm going to go down to basically be where both of these guys are touching. If they're not, you can adjust it with these nuts here and adjust kind of where your plunger is. I kind of want just a little plunge on it and say, okay, I want it to start there. So if you want it to start there, you can save up to 6 start locations. Basically, you would click on this red box and you have 6 of them, 1 through 6. I'm just going to save this one as 1. Hit set. What that did is overwrite any of the start locations in the system. Now if you want to, and then you also have the screen box. The screen box saves with any program you have to tell the to tell the system which start location you're using. I'm just going to go to 1 here and say that's the start location I'm using. While we're down here, I do have a calibration button. What that is basically, if you do use this calibration, you do have to set up new start locations and everything, because that does change the positioning of the system. So say I'm completely changing my syringes to a DWK syringe, and I want the fill volume to match the fill volume on the syringe. I could basically shut off the machine, rotate this motor 1 rotation, see how far it plunges on there, type it into this box, say it was like 0.3, go ahead and hit set, and then it'll make this number up here, this fill volume number, more realistic. It'll kind of calibrate it in. However, if you do change that, make sure you reset, home the machine, and you will have to reset up your start positions. Alright, so those are kind of the hardest parts. Next, we'll kind of actually work our way up. So next is Purge. Purge basically utilizes the feed rate here and the distance. So basically, if I just wanted to kind of run the machine at a feed rate of 100, distance 1, I could hit Purge. It's just going to run the nozzles 0.1 ml. Or syringes 0.1 ml. Alrighty. Next we have clear counter. What that does is it clears our number of cycles we used. This is kind of the status of the program. You could pause the machine, unpause the machine, open programs, save programs. Start cycle runs the machine. Or I could use the foot pedal. So I go ahead and push a foot pedal and run a cycle that way. Next are savable variables. Basically, this is the program here. First one is fill count. Fill count is basically for the cart people, you'll want a fill count of 1. For microdosing people or people that just have a bulk of stuff and they don't want to hit their foot pedal all the time, I could basically set my fill count to like 3. And I can use this delay between fill, and I could set that to, say, 2. And basically, I could hit my foot pedal 1 time, and it's going to run 3 fill cycles with a 2-second delay. So fill count 3, delay between fills 2 seconds. So that's going to run 3 of them. However, because this is a card example, I'm going to put that guy to 1. Next is fill volume. So say you're filling and you want to go up a little bit on the fill volume. Say 0.5 isn't working and you want to go 0.55. You could go ahead and change that to 0.55, run your cycle, and it's going to run more. Next is fill speed. What that is your plunge speed down. So right now I have that at 50. That's super important. We were test filling this yesterday with heat, running some CBD, and basically we needed to slow it down a little bit. It was still pretty thick even though it was warm. So basically, say you need to slow it down a little bit, I could put that fill speed to 10, hit start cycle, and you can see it's going to go a lot slower. Alright, next is infill delay. What that is basically, let me bring this guy back up. If I hit start cycle, it's now going to delay 5 seconds at the bottom here. That's kind of good just to make sure everything's out. We usually keep it at about a half a second, 0.5. If you don't want that in there, you could set it to 0. You could do whatever you want. Delay between fills, that's mostly for if you want to only, what we talked about earlier, if you want your fill count to be 3 and you don't want to hit your foot pedal every time, you could use that. I'm just going to put that at 0. Travel feed rate, that's basically your plunge up speed. So if you wanted to match what it's going down, I could put that at 50. So down is 50, up's 50. There you go. Now, say you want to suck in fluid a little bit slower, I could put that guy to, say, 10. Go like that. You can also use decimals, so I could say 10.5, or I could, I'd say 18.4, and run it like that. Alrighty, so that's basically all of those. You do have some QC settings over here. Most of these are for people that are doing a fill count higher than 1. It'll tell you how much the machine's doing per hour. You can also have batch IDs, fill size. It'll record fill volumes for you, stuff like that. That's mostly for our bottle fillers, but we left it in here in case anyone finds it useful. Reset's your biggest thing. Basically, you could always reset home the machine if the motor does stall out, something like that. That's basically a quick overview of how this machine works and everything like that. Again, if you are wanting to fill carts, we would recommend using Cart Farm syringes, heat tape, tanks, their tank holders, everything like that. These tank holders, they work, but we don't know if their 1000 CF will work here, if there is enough room or not. These are the 250s. For us, if we were running the 250s, we would actually run heat tape normally to this tank here, into this tank here, and then individually control this syringe, individually control this syringe. However, Cart Farm did give us this Y here, and that worked pretty good to feed both these syringes yesterday during the test fill. Here's kind of an example of the test fill. So there's kind of some we ran. Trying to think what else, or if I could say a little bit more. I think that's about it. If you have any questions on this, please. Oh, one other thing, priming it. So priming is basically the only manual operation. Normally, if you pushed it, basically priming, you would do it by hand still. You're going to push it down by hand and up. Make sure that you got no bubbles on that plunger in there. Basically, down, up. Use this one, down, up. That's one of the reasons we left these fingers on this one after we started going. That way you could still use you could still grab everything and go. This one kind of a little harder, down and up. Also, one of the reasons you do it by hand, you could also see if it's ready or not. You can see that one's a little stiff. You could always use a trusty heat gun, heat it up a little bit. This is what we did yesterday. During our tests, and then that'll make it a little easier to start going. So priming would be by hand, and then you have enough clearance out of your way. Then you can always go ahead and from there hit your foot pedal and start running how you see fit. If you got any questions on this or anything, please go to www.rockymountainplc.com and contact us there. We could get you more information on it. We'll be updating the website shortly on this, but this is the final version. Should work good for anyone and everyone that wants to use it. Thank you.